What's up, everybody? It's your boy Coach T with Chicago Bears 360. Do me a favor, man, as y'all come into the comment section for this live show for you on this Saturday, the Saturday edition. And I'm going to tell you why it's on the Saturday edition in a second. Do me a favor as you come into the comment section, run those likes up, man. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. Also, share the video. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at Bears360_Coach T. But I need y'all to run those likes up so we can get the algorithm bussing. Got a good show for you today. We're going to talk about a few topics today, man. Let's get to it. We're going to be discussing Luke Getsy's head coaching candidate opportunities. Is he a head coaching candidate? Let's talk about Justin's passing stats and the big deal is being made about Justin and his ability to pass the ball, right? A little bit of criticism there. And let's talk about Alan Williams and his defensive struggles. And then we're going to talk about Jay Velus. Is Velus back this week? That and so much more as we jump into the show. Y'all know what's next. Cue the intro. Maestro, let's go.
Life like chess, move to pieces, you know I roll in silence. On the road to them Benjis, I fill my teeth with diamonds. I'm high as fuck in the sky, you would've thought I'm pilot. I'm from Chicago, it get ugly, fill the streets with violence. Life like chess, move to pieces, you know I roll in silence.
Past, present, future. We bear down.
And just like that, we're back. Forgot to put the cross dissolve on there to make that transition a little bit more smooth. But I can fix that up real fast. It's all good. Welcome back to the show, man. It's Chicago Bears 360 with Coach T, man. I see y'all already got the comment section busting, and that's good. Do me a favor. Continue to run those likes up if you haven't already subscribed to the channel. And share the video, man. We want to get as many people as part of this channel as possible, man. Over 2,800 subscribers in less than 12 months or just coming up on 12 months. I think I started doing videos about 12 months ago this time last year. So, yeah, man, this is a Saturday edition of Chicago Bears 360. And that's because, drum roll, brrr, your boy is going to be at the game tomorrow with the wife and family members. That's right. We're going to be cheering on our Chicago Bears from the 100 section. Row 2 got some great seats for tomorrow, man. Excited about that. It's too cold by Atlanta standards to be doing any tailgating. The wife is just not having. I think it's supposed to be in the 20s, the high 20s tomorrow. I know that's soft by Chicago standards, but nonetheless, man, ain't gonna be no tailgating going on per se tomorrow. But excited to be in the building, man, for the CJF one. For the third time. I think this is my third time seeing him play. Green Bay this year, Tampa last year. Yeah, I think this is my third time seeing your boy JF1, in action on tomorrow. But yeah, let's talk about it today. So the big topic on Bears Twitter today is all the conversation around what Coach Eberflus had to say and concerns in line with your boy Luke Getsy getting as a head coaching candidate next year. And I guess, I didn't see the exact comments, but I guess, Coach Eberflus was favorable in line and in favor of Coach Luke Getsy getting opportunities to become a head coach. And I don't have a problem with that at all. Believe it or not, I think it's been long said that there was a program in place in the event that Coach Eberflus or any of the coaches, not Coach Eberflus, but any of the coordinators became head coaching candidates that were a part of the staff. So I think I heard Ryan Poles say also this is one of the reasons why that he liked Coach Eberflus as a head coaching candidate, because he came in with a plan already. This was one of the topics of discussion, in the interview process. What was your contingency plan in the event that one of your coordinators became a head coaching candidate? And so it's my understanding, based off of what Ryan Poles said, is that there's a contingency plan in place. Now, my personal view on it is, and this is just a personal view, I just don't think, you know what I'm saying, Luke Getsy has done anything, even though he interviewed last year, allegedly interviewed for head coaching opportunities last year. I just don't think he's done anything to warrant getting those interviews, getting those opportunities. And, you know, the NFL is starting this bad precedence when it comes to hiring head coaches candidates. And I think it started a few years ago with your boy out of Arizona, Cliff Kingsbury, right? Somebody that had come from the college ranks, but that had no widespread success, right? No history of bringing the big one home. And then he jumps over a lot of candidates, a lot of deserving candidates to get a head coaching opportunity. So I think that's the trend over the last 4 or 5 years in looking for the next Sean McVay. By the way, I have a take about that as well, about him as well. But the trend of looking for the next Sean McVay has set the NFL off to a bad precedent in terms of hiring head coaching candidates, right? You're jumping over a lot of qualified head coaches and putting them in position to become head coaches and interviewing them. And it gives a little bit of, it taints the Rooney Rule to a great degree, in my opinion, because, you know what I'm saying, it's already hard enough for a lot of these African-American coaches to get an opportunity, but just not for that reason. There's other non-African-American and people of color who want opportunities to be head coaches in NFL, and the Cliff Kingsbury thing, the Jeff Saturday thing, I think they're all setting a bad precedence for the head coaching fraternity, if you will. And I'm not trying to be a grumpy old man when I talk about this stuff, but it takes a lot of work. Guys put in a lot of hours to become a candidate for these jobs, and them not getting those opportunities is it's a slap in the face, in my opinion, for the guys that's been putting in the work for years, right? That's one take on the position of it. But long before all this trend started, there was an even longer trend of, and I think it's a paradox, right? It's a paradox. It's a conflict of interest when it comes to choosing to hire a defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator as head coach. Now, if you ask my opinion, and I heard this comment, and I think Bragsy said this. I think I'm gonna give Bragsy the drunk uncle, but I'll get to that to a minute, because there's I believe, and no insult, Brag's my guy, but this is just in my experience, right, in coaching, right, how I feel about head coaches and coaches getting opportunities, and how the NFL goes about choosing whether to hire a defensive coordinator or a offensive coordinator, right? And this was one of my concerns when we hired Nagy. Unrelated, it was a concern of mine when we were thinking about hiring Brian Daboll, but also even after Daboll got hired to go to New York, right? They have this thing in the project management or business world called the halo effect, right? The halo effect. And the halo effect is this. Because you hire, or because you're technically proficient at something, I want y'all to follow on with me. Because you're technically proficient at something, it doesn't mean that you're going to be a good leader of people, good leader of men, right? And we do it with this in the business world. It's a common term we use in the business world, in the world of business, corporate business, project management. It's called the halo effect. And because you're technically proficient at something, I might be a good systems engineer, systems admin. I might be a good mechanic, right? I'll extend it even to, say, like the music industry. Because you're a good musician, because you know how to do something technically, the technicalities of it, it doesn't necessarily make you a good leader of men. So because you know how to cook doesn't necessarily mean you would be the best restaurant owner, right? Because they have two different skill sets. You go from being the one that has total control over what you're doing, right? And you're able to add all the ingredients, right? You're able to get the flavor of the food just right, to you have to shift into a different skill set. And now you have to lead another group of people. You have to be responsible for leading people and all the different personalities and all the dynamics that go along with that. And I think this is why a lot of NFL coaches and a lot of NFL franchises fail, right? And so if I had to choose between defensive coordinators and offensive coordinators to hire to be a head coach, right? The logic in my brain says I'm going to go with the defensive guy, and I'll tell you why. Because if your offensive head coach, right, if your offensive head coach is going to decide he's going to call plays and he's going to be the offensive coordinator, right, unless he's super, super organized and he develops a system where he can continue to drive in on the details that it takes and it requires to be an offensive coordinator, a great offensive coordinator, then he's setting you as an owner, GM, you're setting that particular head coach up to fail. There are so many responsibilities. There's so much. Offensive coordinator requires more than just calling plays. It requires so much attention to detail, right? You know what I'm saying? It's just not calling plays on game day. It's just not going through practices, right? Offensive coordinators have to come up with a game plan for the upcoming game. That includes coming up with a practice script, first of all, right? So you have to have time to watch film, come up with the preliminary game plan, right? Out of that game plan, you come up with your practice script or your script of plays that you're going to try to run on the upcoming game. And you go through your different scenarios. So you guys hear Coach Eberflus talk about on what day they practice this, that, and the other, first and second down, third and fourth down, goal zone, right? All that stuff. That's your practice script. And so you have a piece of paper that has all the plays that you're going to run in these scenarios, right? You have to come up with that script and make sure you flushed out every scenario. You have to come up with your various packages for your superstar players, your great players. You need a Claypool package. You need a Mooney package. You need a Demo package. You need a design run package for Justin Fields, right? And then you need a special play package. And then you have to have that for every scenario. Not only do you have to come up with the plays, you have to come up with all the motions, the shifts, right? You know what I'm saying? You need to come up with add any special calls that you're calling and installing for this play. Also, you need to add your wrinkles, right? Your wrinkles might include plays that you called previous weeks that you want to add plays to your particular playbook, right? To continue to grow your playbook throughout the season. You can't just call the same plays from the same playbook week after week, or else the league is going to begin to catch up with you. So you have to add plays to your playbook week after week after week to stay ahead of the league, right? It's a requirement. It's a requirement for to be a great coordinator. My wife's texting me and asking me about Thanksgiving menu. Yeah, so that's important. That's important for the offensive coordinator. And that last piece is probably especially important. The ability to stay ahead of the league is something that's critical for a offensive coordinator, period, let alone a head coach, right? And I said this about Sean McVay last year, and the people scoffed at me, right? I was debating somebody on Spaces Live on Twitter, and they were talking about Sean McVay and bragging on him. I say, I got a hot take for you. Sean McVay, this is his last year. I said this last year during the offseason. I said, Sean McVay, this is his last year. The league is already catching up to him. This is going to be his last year being quote unquote considered an offensive genius when it comes to the game of football because of his head coach responsibilities and his offensive coordinator responsibility. You know what I'm saying? At first, you know what I'm saying, he was running a lot of stuff that the league couldn't quite catch up with. It was a lot of pseudo Kyle Shanahan stuff, but the league began to catch up with him. The two guys that I would probably point out as exception to the rule when it comes to this stuff is Andy Reid and Kyle Shanahan. And Kyle Shanahan, not so much. But Andy Reid definitely has a system in place for his assistant coaches that allows him to stay ahead of defenses or other NFL teams when it comes to play calling and installing plays and keeping wrinkles or keeping enough versatility out there to keep defenses off balance when it comes to his offense. Sean McVay, not so much. He doesn't necessarily add so much to his playbook, but he does. But Sean McVay his system is so fundamentally sound, and this is what I love about Sean McVay, that they can line up and run their stuff pretty much, especially in their running game. They can line up and run their stuff, and tell you where they're going to run the ball, and particularly in their gap power schemes, they can tell you where they're going to run the ball, and you can't do anything to stop them, right? So that's a particular those two individuals I'll say that are exceptional to the rule, but I can point out 1,000 instances where it hasn't served so well. A great example is Doug Peterson down in Jacksonville, right? How do you go from winning the Super Bowl in Philadelphia to getting fired, right? How do you go from winning the Super Bowl in Philadelphia to getting fired, right? It was just, I think matching the two responsibilities became too much for Doug, and he didn't keep evolving on his offense, and the league caught up with him, right? I think he'll have success down in Jacksonville for a period of time, but after a while, it only takes about 4 to 6 weeks for the league to catch up with you, and then you're done. So to the point, I don't believe Luke. It would be wise for Luke even. Yeah, you could go out there and interview and all that good stuff. You can go out there and interview, but I don't think it'll be a wise step for Luke Getsy to jump straight out into the head coaching spaces right now. And if he does, it would serve him well to have a guy call the plays or run his offense for him, right? To hire offensive coordinator. Look at your boy at Denver. He's just sucking right now, his ability to manage. And he said that. Like, it came out in the show that, he struggled with all the responsibility as being a head coach and calling plays. And I'm not saying calling plays, but being an offensive coordinator. Calling plays is probably a bad way to characterize it, right? Because calling plays doesn't really capture everything that an offensive coordinator has to do. It's a hard job. At any level, it's a hard job. And again, it requires a lot of attention to detail. You have to be fully into it to be great at it. Our worst example would be Matt Nagy, who I said way before the league exposed him that your boy would be exposed after this year, because I thought that he basically plagiarized Andy Reid's offense. You know what I'm saying? He copied Andy Reid's offense without even having an understanding of the concepts, right? The core, fundamental, basic understanding of the concepts, right? This happens all the time in coaching, right? You have guys that you're a mentor and you'll talk to, and you'll mentor in the coaching ranks, right? And it's one thing to be able to copy my plays, but if you don't understand the concepts, you can't make adjustments and additions. You can't tweak the concepts, right? And say, okay, I want to tweak this play this way for this particular opponent because, they do something special that would stop this play. And if I make this particular tweak or adjustment to the play, then it will help the play become successful. Or you don't have the library of knowledge and experience to make in-game halftime adjustments, or again, add week to week wrinkles to the playbook to keep your offense evolving. That was all Nagy. He just lacked the level of depth. He was, you know what I'm saying? He was a head coach swimming in the kiddie pool. He was out of his league when it comes to the library depth and experience. And because he had head coaching responsibility, he had to manage the locker room. It made it even worse for him. He wasn't able to ever able to catch up with the league, and he started drowning after a while. So, again, if good on him if he gets those opportunities, but I just don't think Luke Getsy is ready, and I could be wrong. Now, again, the caveat is if he goes out there and he hires him a great offensive coordinator, and he just becomes a manager of people, a la Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll got to New York and decided, hey, I'm not calling plays. And I thought it was a great decision. I believe New York is going to be competitive for years to come because of that decision. Manage the team, become a CEO, executive of your team, manage the personnel, manage both coordinators, right? Delegate responsibility. Walk in that room and say, hey, guys, from a macro perspective, this is what I'm seeing on the field. For example, I'll give you a great example. You know what I'm saying? As a head coach, you're able to see the game from a macro perspective and go back, look at your stat sheet, say, hey, hey, Luke, why is it that, Chase Claypool only got 1 catch for 8 yards, right? We should have a Claypool package in your playbook every week. Like, that should be part of your playbook. That's how you manage your coordinators. Or you go to Alan Williams and say, hey, Alan, we're not getting pressure up front with our front four. Hey, I need to see your blitz package by Thursday. Show me what you got in terms of blitz. Let's sit down, talk about it. Let's discuss it. And you explain to me the blitz packages and why, and what particular downs you think will be successful with what blitz is coming from the corner, linebacker, safety. You telling me, explain to me what the blitz plan is for this week. That's how you delegate and oversee your team as a head coach, as a head coach and be the executive. Now, if you have to do all that detailed stuff yourself, again, it could be cause for concern. It could be overwhelming, and you get yourself in a little bit of trouble. So that's that. Hate to beat a dead horse. I'm sorry, can't talk. But listen, let me do this real fast. Let me go to the DM section to see what y'all got to say on the topic. My graphic doesn't want to load for me for the second week in a row. But let's go to the DM section and see what y'all got to say on Sarah. R&R, my boy said, Getsy's offense hasn't even been fully seen yet. Let me see. Let me read from my phone. His offense isn't even being fully seen yet. It's too early for a first-time OC be a head coach. 3 or 4 seasons after sustained success. I agree with you, R&R. I agree with you. Unfortunately, I don't believe the NFL agrees with either one of us, right? And I said this on Twitter. Bro, you haven't shown – and I won't say he hasn't shown us anything. It's impressive how he's grown from week 1 to now currently with this group. I'm very impressed with his run concepts and his ability, how he blocks things. I fully believe in his ability he understands concepts way much more so than Nagy. First of all, it's evident on tape that he understands gap power concepts. He understands the difference between gap and zone and when to run which. He knows how to run zone read. By the way, stop saying read option. Please stop saying. If you have a YouTube channel, you're a media personality, you're a beat writer, you're Bears DIY YouTuber, please, it's a pet peeve of mine, a coaching pet peeve. Please stop saying read option. That's so redundant. It's telling that you ain't behind the scenes, like you ain't really done this like that. It's not read option, for God's sake. It's zone read. Okay, back to what I was talking about. He's shown that he knows the evolution of the zone read package and concept. You go zone read, you have the give, you have the keep. Once they start biting on the give, you have the keep, and then the answer to them walking the safety down in the box. You move to the RPO. And by the way, guys, the RPO and the zone read aren't the same thing. it's a counter. Counter is probably a bad word to use because counter is a concept, but RPO is a wrinkle to the zone read concepts. Let me put it that way. It's an adjustment. Adjustment is a better word. RPO is an adjustment. So again, you run the give out of gun, you run the give, you give the ball to your running back, you read the defensive end or outside linebacker. Once they start biting, you let your quarterback keep and escape and get around the outside. Now, the adjustment, the defensive adjustment to that is they begin to walk a safety down in the box, right, to account for the quarterback. So the end can crash or he'll play the surfboard technique. But if he's not doing a great job in that, right, they'll walk a safety down in the box, and the safety has the quarterback. So the end has the running back, safety has the quarterback. Okay, because they walk that safety down in the box, then you start going to the RPO, run pass option, which gives you open looks from a passing game concepts because that safety is worried about the running game. Then you go to the pass. That's the adjustment to it. So, yeah, he's shown that he understands all that, and I love it. Now, what's still to evolve is this passing game. This passing game hasn't evolved, and that's not due to any fault of Luke Getsy, in my opinion. These guys just simply haven't had enough time together, and I pointed out a great example, I think, in Christian Watson and Aaron Rodgers, right? You got a new wide receiver, old quarterback, new coordinator over there. Everybody's not on the same page. And just over the last 2 weeks, Christian Watson was able to, get off. 3 touchdowns versus Dallas and 2 touchdowns the other night versus Dallas. He had 3 touchdowns and 2 touchdowns in his last 2 games. And here it is taking over half the season to get to that level of continuity and connection with the quarterback, right, to get on the same page, right? So compare that to our guys, right? Who's just now starting to get off in our offense? Cole Kmet, right? So Luke is starting to see and understand what Cole can do, and based off of what defenses has shown us over the last few years, he's seeing how he can scheme Cole open on certain plays, right, based off of teams having to respect our run game. So teams are going to play a single high safety, man coverage, cover 3, and he's seeing how he can sneak Cole out there and get him open for touchdowns. So we're starting to see the growth and the evolution of Cole, right? And that's really what it is about offensive football. It's about development. It's about growth. It's about evolution. It's not about instant grits. You throw hot water in the pot, and then you have this all-star offense. It's week to week, practice to practice, week to week, game to game, year to year. You start seeing growth in certain players because now the offensive coordinator knows what they can and what they can't do. Now, to that point about our wide receivers, I'm expecting, per Coach Flu, that there'll be a Chase Claypool package in there. Now, we're going against, this week, the 32nd ranked passing defense in the league. So not only should there just be a Chase Claypool package in there, but Chase should go off, right? Now, I'll tell you something that I saw versus Miami that happened. Miami rolled safety coverage over towards Chase Claypool to take things away from that. And I'm hoping Atlanta does the same. If they roll that single high safety, they got to play single high safety because we'll run the ball down their throats. So if they roll that safety over top of Clay to stop him from going off, then my full expectation is Darnell Mooney will be the next one to start going off. There'll be Cole opportunities. There'll be opportunities for Cole Kmet. There'll be opportunities for Darnell Mooney to go off if they're going to respect Chase Claypool to that level to roll a safety, the only safety, the single high safety, over towards his side. So, there it go. Now, the other hot take I had is, because everybody's been on Justin. Let me get to that in a minute. I'll talk about that in a minute. Don Bird said Detroit versus everybody. Don's still reeling off their win versus us, the comeback win. You know how I feel about that. We gave y'all one, Don. Y'all still got to see us, though. Y'all got to still see us at home, and it's going to be, I guarantee you, it's going to be a different result. Steve O6, I think it's the pass pro. It's very hit and miss, so I think Luke just rather focus on the run game. That's instead of both. You have to have a healthy balance. No, because I think I sort of agree with you, but kind of disagree. You know what I'm saying? He's overcome the pass pro in certain scenarios. I think it's more about wide receiver chemistry at this point because he's shown he can overcome pass pro, even if it means just running 2-man routes. He has good 2-man route concepts that can still get people open, right? So if you're blocking 8-man protection and you're only sending 2 wide receivers out, he's shown he can get guys open with 2 receivers routes. Now, I don't expect it's unrealistic to expect that to be the case for an entire game. But you can get off. He's shown he can get some stuff off with 2-man routes. But again, it's been my saying the whole season. They need to focus more on the short game and intermediate game. We still have this bipolar sense of our offense when it comes to passing. There's either the quick screen or the deep balls. But what about all the stuff you can throw in between that? The outs, the hitches, the digs, right? The rub routes. There's plenty of stuff you can throw outside of that. The quick outs, like we haven't seen that. And that stuff takes timing, which is why I think we're still struggling with it a little bit. And we got new guys. We haven't had a consistent wide receiver group all season long, right? It's still, it's still much to be desired in terms of chemistry. That's why my take is weeks 14 to 18, I think we're going to see, and I don't want to give away my Justin Fields conversation, but do me a favor real fast. Hit that like, man. I don't know how many likes we got. We got 19 in the chat. Run that like up. Let's get these algorithm busting, man. I'm going to do like a pseudo marathon session today because the game is tomorrow. I ain't got nothing else to do today, and we're going to talk about this today. So let's get it. Let's get into it today and see we can get it. Do me a favor. Go ahead, run that like up so we can get the algorithm busting. We get some more people in the chat and talk about it. All right, so Steve-O said, exactly, Coach, you can't copy plays when we don't have the type of players. Exactly. That was Nagy's biggest issue. The crazy part is I was saying this when we were winning. I was like, bro, don't have answers. And the run concepts weren't making sense to me. And then he came out, I think in week 8 or one sentence, like, I didn't come here to run a power I. I was like, this is a whole fool. We have hired a whole fool. Because as an offensive play caller, I'm not saying I don't run anything. Everything's on the table. If we can run it, we have the personnel to run it, we're going to run it, right? And then we refuse to assign a fullback, which is troubling to me at the time. Steve Osby say he's in the grocery store right now, too. Yeah, my wife's out there getting that turkey day all put together. Let me check in on her real fast because she texts me. Got to check in with the wife, bro. Yeah. So, I think she got it under control. She's trying to figure greens over cabbage, man. Put in the comments which one y'all prefer, greens or cabbage. Help me make a decision. What we going through? What we going with this year? Greens or cabbage? I should have did that earlier when she asked me. She's at the store right now, so she probably got mad if I prolong the answer. Anyway, Pop make a great point, man. You have to hire an experienced OC without any agendas, bro. That's the other part, man. The political part of coaching, bro, is so crazy, man. Like, people don't understand, bro. I'm still looking for a sideline job right now. But a lot of it is, bro, you have to taper. It's crazy how you have to come in the door as a coach, even at the high school level, especially here in Georgia and Florida, bro. You have to come in. You kind of got to downplay your level of knowledge and what you know. You don't want to go in and try and outshine the head coach or anybody, especially your coordinators, because guys are sensitive about their offenses and what they run, their concepts and what they believe in. Guys don't want to be outshined and overlooked. You know what I'm saying? You outshine somebody, then, it gets real political because they believe you're trying to take their job. It gets real weird, man, in the coaching ranks. That's why you don't see a lot of coaches come out and publicly, criticize each other in the NFL unless it's a guy that decided he's just going to retire and go do media on TV. And he's done with the coaching game for good. That's the only time you're going to see him come out and publicly criticize other coaches because, you know, it's real political, man. So it's a great point. Chris makes a great take right here. He said Nagy got hired on the halo effect. For real, for real. Holmes made him look good. Absolutely, bro. It was a total halo effect hire. You know what I'm saying? Again, now here's the thing. I would venture to say the Bears didn't do their homework. Ryan Pace didn't do his homework, even when Ryan hiring Matt Nagy, because if he would have really dug into him and actually quizzed him on what was his plan, one, you know, the first question I was asked is, are you going to call plays? Are you going to delegate that responsibility to others? Okay, if you call plays, what's your plan to stay ahead of NFL league defenses with your offense? How are you going to manage that? The responsibility. What are you gonna delegate to other coaches in terms of managing the team, right? How are you gonna manage the personalities, the locker room, and do all the detail work that it takes to be effective offensive coordinators? Because essentially you're the offensive coordinator by default. You got to be in the quarterback room. You got to be in the offensive line room. You have to know what's going on. You got to have a plan. How do you plan on managing all that and then manage the locker room? Are you going to have a strong team leadership room in terms of your player leadership council and all that other stuff? Notice that Coach Flew has all these things in place for this team, right? He has a leadership council on the team, even as a head coach, and he manages all that stuff well, right? But it's crazy, man. Like you know, it's a known thing, bro. The halo effect is a real thing, and the NFL does a terrible job of catching up with that concept. So there you have one more comment, and I'm going to get on the next subject topic. 100% believe in Justin in passing. It was Justin in his protection that, yeah, man. Like I you know, it's funny, man. You can't satisfy a lot of people. So yeah, you know, if you look at where this offense is and how Luke had to evolve it to be able to, you know, capitalize on where Justin is right now. I wouldn't necessarily say it's his strengths. His strengths is his legs and his athletic ability right now. But, we got to keep in mind that Justin was a passing quarterback in college. He beat Trevor Lawrence passing the ball in college, right? He's a passer of the football. It's just a matter of time and evolution. That's why I said weeks 14 to 18, mark your calendar, mark your game. We're going to start seeing the over 200, 250-yard games come because we're going to have a Claypool package. We should have a Mooney package. We should have a Cole package. We should have a Demo package. We know what guys can do, right? The evolution of the pass game. Look, the offensive line hasn't been consistent in that room, and the wide receiver room hasn't been consistent all season. Once we get some consistency and some continuity, we should start seeing these things come together and things evolve, right? So don't want to belay the Getsy thing. I think I beat that dead horse in the mouth. So let's talk about it. That's a great segue into talking about Justin in this passing game, right? So all the drunk uncles out there, man, talking about, well, where are the 250-yard games? And this is mostly our ops. These are mostly Bears haters, the Don Burrs of the world, and everything else. You know, our boys not throwing for over 250. Well, look at Aaron Rodgers, bro. Look at some of the prominent quarterbacks in the league. They're still struggling to throw over 200 yards. In this week 9 or 10, right, we still struggling to see the passing stats. Offensive play across the league is down. It's down by 10.5%, 10.5 points. And that was a number of weeks ago. It's probably worse or getting a little bit better by now, but it's still down across the league. The defenses are dominating the league. Matter of fact, if you look at ball across the league, football is resembling football offensive play from about 5 or 10 years ago. A lot of outside sweeps, toss sweeps, a lot of jet sweeps, a lot of running of the football. You're seeing the two-back system getting 30 and 40 carries a game, and those guys are starting to be successful doing more of that stuff, man. So, again, I'm expecting two things need to happen to see more from the passing game in terms of stats and yardage. One, the offensive lineman needs some continuity. The offensive line needs some continuity. I believe Luke knows how to put them in position. He knows what he has in terms of blockers and how many man protection he needs to be in for each individual plays, whether he needs to be in 60, 70, or 80 protection, right? 6, 7, or 8 man protection for a particular play. But it's the level of continuity and those guys being on the same sheet of music and having the same guys in the same position. Because offensive line is individual play, but it's the most dependent, cohesiveness dependent unit on the football field. It's just not about having a great right guard, two great right tackles. It's how they work well together, how they communicate, and all this other stuff, how they feel each other as a group, right? So having the same group week after week after week, right? And then getting enough reps with these wide receivers, right? Getting the reps, enough reps. Same thing with the wide receivers, having the continuity, knowing where to be when you're supposed to be there, knowing where to be versus certain coverages and looks, right? And the last element of that is the defense has to present these opportunities, bro. You can't just go out there and throw for 350, 400, and defenses are too high safety, cloud, shell protection, or, two cloud the whole game, and their whole game plan is to keep stuff in front of you and dare you to run the ball. Like, they have to present opportunities. Now, have they done that? Opportunities? Have they presented opportunities for us to throw the ball? Absolutely. As long as they're going to play single high safety, cover man coverage or cover 3, absolutely. The opportunities are there. But, again, the offensive line continuity, consistency with personnel grouping, same thing with the wide receiver. And then the other part is Luke's growth as a play caller. He has to understand what his weaknesses are as a play caller and begin to grow and evolve. That's why I have the take that he's not ready yet. If he's going to be head coach and offensive coordinator, if he's going to just be simply a head coach and hire offensive coordinator, all means go for it. But if he's going to be a head coach and call plays, it's probably not going to bode well for him to get a head coaching opportunity anytime soon. That's my take on that, right? So weeks 14 to 18, going to see some things. We're going to see some things evolve a little bit. Again, Flu said he's requiring him to install a Claypool package. There should be, and there has been, because he saw it schemed open, a Cole package, Claypool package, Mooney package, right? He should get people open. Hell, dare I say there should be a Velus Jones Jr. package, right? Jet sweep, something like that. Or, put all that speed on the field at the same time. See what happens with it. I don't know. You got to respect it at some point, right? So that's that on that. I'm not overly worried about Justin's ability to pass the ball or him growing in that area. Weeks 14 to 18, I think we're going to see some things, man. Let's hop over to the defensive side of the ball because I think there's much to discuss with that. And how we're growing in this defense, how Allen Williams and the defense are struggling. There's some things they can do in this space. But before we really get into it, do me a favor, man, run the likes up. Let's hit this algorithm bussing. Let's keep the energy going. I'm going to hop to the comments real second before we go directly to the defense side to see what y'all saying about that. Then I'll get back to the defensive side. No Man said, guess he hasn't owned those opportunities yet. People jumping the gun so dang on much. Yeah, man. I think that's Bears fandom, bro. There's Bears fandom for you, bro. There's certain people in Bears media that you can count on, man, to trigger the overreaction crowd. And I don't know if that's clickbaits for sound bites or whatever, man, but it's certain people, man, that are just going to trigger the overreaction crowd on Bears social media. I ain't going to call nobody out, but you might see them later on in the Drunk Uncle segment of it. Agreed, Coach. I don't think my boy Scott said, I agree, Coach. I don't think QB run game is sustainable long term. Got to start developing the pass. Yeah. Only thing I would change in that, Scott, is I would say the passing game has to grow up. It has to begin to mature. That's I know that's sounds like cynicism, but I think they're working their hardest to develop it. Chemistry in the O-line, chemistry in the wide receiver room, and developing those packages are all important. But I think, again, we're going to begin to see it ramp up. I'm expecting either Cole or Claypool to go off tomorrow. Now, the only caveat with that is if they roll coverage on top of Claypool, then it'll be Cole and Mooney, right? It'll be Cole and Mooney. But I'm expecting Claypool and Cole to continue this tear he's been on, and Claypool to get involved with that. Unless they start doubling Claypool, then it'll be Mooney. But I'm expecting to see something somebody go crazy. R&R said, it irritated me that Thomas got signed off practice squad, unknown, but Reef and Schofield don't offer much going forward. Yeah, I don't know, man. I think we have to keep a veteran around, like to go totally young maybe next year. I don't think it'll be the great move. You need some of those seasoned vets, if not just as a teaching or a additional player coach in that room that has experience that can help guys out and coach, player coach type role and then also a guy that's a swing guy that has some reps under his belt that you don't have to ramp them up in the event somebody goes down, that you can just plug and play that guy. But I also think it's fitting that Reef has supplanted Larry Borum at that right tackle spot, right? So you have an aging vet come in there and supplant your starting right tackle like that. Says a lot about, where his abilities are. And everybody knows I've been critical of Larry Borum prior to this season. I agree with Coach Flew. I think he's been playing well this season, but I think his technique breaks down from time to time. And, it just breaks down. I think it breaks down versus the best pass rushers, unfortunately. And he gets exposed by bending at the waist and lunging and getting his head over his feet, and he gets off balance, and guys just blow right past him. But yeah, we're getting into it. So back to this defensive thing. As we jump into it. Run a like, subscribe, hit the notification bell if you're watching this on a playback, man. Follow our subscribers, man, so you can become one of these, man. Become one of these guys. Become a field soldier, right? And don't come for me in the comments about my use of my apostrophes and all that other stuff. I'm just not changing that graphic because, one, I ain't got time right now. I got so much stuff I got to do for the show that I ain't caught up with. Man, y'all going crazy with the comments. I need to track these down. So let's talk about it, man. Let's talk about it. The pass rush is non-existent. It's non-existent from the front four. And that's a problem. We definitely got to go get a stud 3 technique next year, and perhaps a young guy that can come off the edge. We need to go get a veteran, or I'm leaning towards a veteran 3 technique that'll come in and can be a disruptor at that position. I've heard DeForest Buckner's name tossed around there. I heard Darius Payne, his name tossed around there. We need somebody that's going to be a disruptor at that position and begin to push back and push guys in the backfield and disrupt the game. I know Swift. He had head coaching opportunities or interviews last year. It still don't make it right. It still don't make it right. But yeah, we need somebody to come in at that 3 technique and be a disruptor. There needs to be a combination with so many picks to get you a veteran guy that can push back and a young guy that when this veteran ages out, that this guy can step in, the young guy step in, and he learns from the older guy, and they can get the job done. We just not generating enough pass rush from the guys up front. Another thing that I saw improvement with last week versus Detroit, the they haven't been good at throughout the season is their run fits and their gap responsibilities, bro. Especially versus zone runs. They get turned, right? They get turned. They don't keep their body square to the line of scrimmage. They don't keep gap integrity. They get turned in the zone game, and guys get turned and they create lanes, right? Because they're facing their shoulder pads are facing the line of scrimmage, right? And they get turned and they create lanes for running backs. They've been better at that over the last few weeks, but I still got to see more. They got to take a step forward versus Atlanta and show consistency in that area. All that stuff, and everybody goes off about, Jack Sanborn having better stats than Roquan Smith. Again, if you're watching the tape wrong or you don't know what you're looking at, you're going to have that take. But if these guys don't keep their body square to the line of scrimmage and to keep gap integrity, those guys are going to be able to easily double and climb off of their defensive front blocks and get to your linebackers and make plays and make blocks on your linebackers, making it difficult for them to get off blocks, or they'll get off blocks late and get run over. There's no worse feeling in the world, right? Your defensive lineman is like the offensive line for the linebackers, for running backs, right? Their job is just not, in a lot of situations, to get penetration. Now, in this defense, in a 4-3, their job is to get penetration, to be a disruptor. It's kind of dual responsibility. You got to get penetration in your gaps and take bodies with you, right? That's part of their responsibility. They kind of got dual responsibility there, but they got to keep guys, they got to keep the linebackers clean for them to make plays. So I can see how Jack would have made a lot more plays over the last couple of weeks, because they're starting to get better at it, but they're still not exceptional at it. And then here's the thing. It creates problems for the defensive backfields because, somebody was saying, Jalen hasn't been super exceptional. Kyler has been okay. Cornerback too those guys have just been okay. If you got to cover longer, you just going to be okay. You can't be special back there when your defensive line is just meh. You know what I'm saying? So I think Alan Williams has to come up with some unique opportunities, some unique ways to cause some disruption. And one of the things I haven't seen him adjust to yet is teams are going to come at us with gap power type concepts. They're running at us. Green Bay did it against us. We're going to see that again versus Green Bay. We're going to see it in both Minnesota games. I'm already guarantee you, right? Dallas ran power against us and killed us with power concepts, right? And we haven't made adjustments to it. I want to see Allen Williams' 4-3 defense walk those linebackers up in the A gaps, a la the old Chicago Bears defenses with Lance Briggs and Brian Urlacher, right? Not play like those guys, right? But the scheme, the system, right? You remember they used to walk those guys up in the A gaps? Remember back when the league was run heavy and backs would get 30 and 40 carries a game? The reason why they walk those linebackers up in the A gaps is because if you can get penetration with a linebacker the same time a guard is pulling or a guard and tackle is pulling, penetration disrupts gap power. That's how you stop gap power concepts. You got to get penetration. So if you walk those linebackers up in the A gaps, right, and usually what defensive coordinators do, and I know this because I had to face it when I was calling plays, usually what they do is they'll send a linebacker through the A gap on the weak side, right, and cause penetration. So that linebacker either cut off that pulling guard and tackle and disrupt the pull, right, or he will follow that pulling guard straight to the ball and make a play in the backfield. I still haven't seen Allen Williams make that adjustment yet. So, Allen Williams, if you're listening, that's a freebie. I'll get that one to you for free. I'll give you my cash app too. That's a simple adjustment to it, to stopping gap power, and we haven't stopped it all season. Well, I won't say we didn't stop it all season. We stopped it. We did okay. I don't think they ran it a whole lot versus San Francisco, but I'll give you credit for that one. But we haven't stopped it all season. And again, it's affecting that whole defense. So that's my biggest position. That's my take on the defense, man. It all starts up front. But there's things again that Allen can do to help those guys out, to figure that thing out. Let me go to the DM section real fast, see what y'all talking about in relation to this defense and how they're playing, and we'll get to it, man. But that's it for me. I think we got to continue to develop the guys we got and get better. We just got to develop. We got to get better at coaching those guys up. They have to grow up. They have to grow up over the. We can't go out and get new guys, right? They're gonna have to, you know what I'm saying, grab hold and just be better. Be better at what they're doing. Let me see what y'all talking about in the comments. Let's see. Arnold said, no, I can see Poles signing and drafting top DNs and DTs. Nice rotation experience running you. I hope he does, man. I think he should go both, in some cases, offensive line and defensive line. At minimum, offensive, defensive line, wide receiver. I think that's the no-brainer. But you never know with this group, bro. We got 8 picks, 130+ million. We should be much improved from a talent perspective on this defense and offensive line going to next year. Let's see. Nomad says, I saw somewhere the Bears' opponents are averaging second per pass play. 7. Good Lord. That's terrible, man. That's terrible if that's the case. Again, A-gap pressure. A-gap pressure would cure all of that. One, because you want to get the offensive coordinator thinking. You want to get the quarterback thinking. If you just do like they did back in the day and line 2 linebackers up in the A-gaps, whether it's pass or run, it's going to make you think about the play you call, right? So if it's a power concept and you're trying to run a power concept and you're in that position, you're going to call hang on 1 second. What's up, sweetheart? We're live.
Oh, I'm sorry. Bye. I'm sorry.
We're live. Say hi to the people.
I was calling to ask if you used my cookie injector for something. I forgot you were live.
Babe, are you since you on the show now, are you excited about the game tomorrow?
I'm excited about the game.
You excited? This, by the way, I just remembered, this is not going to be your first Bears game. We went to the Jacksonville game, remember?
Oh yeah, we did. I forgot about that.
But it's your first game in Atlanta. You excited about it?
Woo-woo. Go Bears.
There you go. Y'all just heard from Miss Coach T. She excited about the game. All right, I'll see you in a bit, baby. All right. See, you got to answer the phone when your wife called, man, especially when she called twice. That's the second time she called, and with them out here snatching people and stuff, I don't play games like that. I got that gotcha for you. So if it's an emergency, I had to stop this show to go get in somebody's head, by all means. She called twice. I'm picking up. She forgot I was live. Anyway, that's funny. Let's see. Steve-O says, I think that has a lot to do with Jack. He's very smart and instinctual when you have the linebacker like that. I think that's overrated, bro. I think that's overrated. You know what I'm saying? Y'all not going to want to hear this, but I'm going to give y'all a hot take. Guess what? Jack Sanborn as is not that special, bro. I know I'm going to piss a lot of people off when I say that, bro. But the defensive line is playing the run that much better. I've seen the tape. They're playing more discipline in front of him, allowing him to freely flow to the ball. Yes, is he instinctive? He's very instinctive. But y'all gotta stop the cap, bro. He is not a better linebacker. Maybe in this system, better maybe where they are right now, but he's not a better linebacker than Ropan. I know revisionist history would tell y'all, oh, you know what I'm saying, piss on the guy that just left the team, you know what I'm saying, like that, but he's not. The defensive line is playing better up in front of him, and he's very instinctive on the inside, or better instinctive, maybe maybe better instinctive on the inside, but he's not a better sideliner and in coverage linebacker than Roquan Sent. Now, all the stat boys out there are going to get stats and all that other stuff that says otherwise, and I get it. Y'all, you know what I'm saying? You can only go by stats. That's all you have. But if I sat down with you and showed you how our defensive line is doing a better job at keeping blockers off of Sanborn and other linebackers, then you would see it. But I digress. So Renewal said it's development at all positions, including coaching. Guys are good. They will get other opportunities. So gotta have Alcon ready to play. Yeah, man. Like, listen, this I won't ever get off that take, bro. This is still a young team, and there was a conversation with my boy on his channel, at Windy City Breeze, with Pat the Designer, where they were saying. There was a debate him and his friends were having about did Ryan Poles take the right approach to rebuild and all that other stuff, right? Did he take the best approach, rebuild, versus should he went out and just kept certain players and us actually made a run? I still, and I'm going to go throughout this season saying they took the best approach because we had to reestablish the culture in the locker room, the culture of the organization. We had to get guys willing and establish a culture of guys being accountable and playing hard. And then also the other part is we have to make Justin the undisputed leader of that locker room. You can't have the likes of Akeem Hicks, what's his name that we just sent to San Francisco, San Diego. Man, well, I'm having a brain cramp. A big signing that we signed, Khalil Max. You can't have all those personality in the locker room, all right, those vets, and your rookie quarterback comes in, and this guy's really finna be the legit undisputed star of your franchise, but he's not willing to speak up and say things and correct guys because the vets are going to be looking over the shoulder like, who you think you are, all this other stuff. They had to sweep that locker room to make Justin the guy as he's becoming in the city and in that locker room. That is the case, and now build around him offensively, defensively, special teams, whatever. But when guys get drafted to this team, it's just by default they're going to come in. They're going to be looking over there like, yo, that's JF1. That's QB1. And when he speaks, people are going to listen. As was the case before, I don't think that happens, right? You see it play out all the time. You may have an outstanding freshman come into your team in high school. He might be the best player on your team, but he won't lead because, there's seniors in there. They got seniority, and he knows he step out of line. Them seniors might pull his chain. They might pull his player card. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, it's definitely all about development and seeing if you can turn shit into sugar, right? That's, you know what I'm saying? I had to use that expression because it's the only thing that came to mind. But seeing if you can coach and develop, actually coach players. God forbid in NFL, see if people can actually coach football instead of you just playing fantasy football and going out there and drafting guys to your team that, just supposedly already has everything together and turnkey players that you don't have to coach. No, the way you save your salary cap is turning guys that were 5th, 6th, 7th rounders, right? 4th rounders into, dudes, guys that actually become the foundation of your team. That's how you actually save your budget, right? Because if you can get those guys to play, right, then you ain't got to keep going out there expending crazy money on guys, right? So Nomad says we need disruptors up front. Got you. Definitely in agreeing with that. Deron Payne, that's the guy. Definitely a disruptor. I like that. Swifty said 24-25 Fields will be developed and we won't need Getsy. You still gonna need a good OC, bro. I think there's I get where you're going with that. I get where you're going with that. I know where you're going with that, and I agree with going with it. But you're gonna need not Getsy directly, but he's going to need a good OC to call plays and get us in the right position and the right plays at the right time with those situations, man. So we're over an hour, man. Let me get into this real fast because I don't want to belay this any longer. But Velus back? Will we see Velus this year? More tomorrow at least, right? Will we see Velus? Will he have an impact in the special team game? Now, I'm impartial, man. I'm rooting for this kid. Because I think, I think if you look at this coaching staff, man, and I know this is going to be a hot take, but I don't care, right? Sue me. I don't care. I put logic behind my takes for the most part. But yeah. So I just think, if I have to say this coaching staff, I have to be super critical of this coaching staff, super critical. I have to say I don't like how they handled Tevin Jenkins in the preseason, and I'm a little bit critical of how they handled No, Braggs, I ain't gave you the Drunk Uncle Award. You came just in time. I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to give it to you since you're in the comments. Braggsy, my boys in the comments. Braggs, I got to have you on, bro. Hit me up on the DMV. I got to have you on the show at some point. But, yeah, so if I had to be super critical of this coaching staff, and I haven't been super critical of the GM, the coaching staff, and the coordinators to this point because I think it's a project. It's about development. But the one thing I would say that I'm critical of is definitely of the handling of Tevin Jenkins, right? The handling of Tevin Jenkins. And I understand Tevin owns some responsibility in this as well, right? So, but if you draft a guy to be a stud left tackle, right? You draft a guy to be a stud left tackle, you have to be careful when you're going to switch a guy's position because, I know fans, y'all like, it all about the team, all about the front office and players doing what's best for the team all the time and, shut up and color and all that other stuff. But, when you start talking about a guy's livelihood, his ability to feed his family, tackle money and guard money is totally different. I'm just going to bring the human aspect into it. Tackle money and guard money is totally different. Being a stud, perennial Pro Bowl, left tackle, right tackle in the league, particularly left tackle and right guard is totally different. Those guys get paid a little bit different. They get seen a little bit. Offensive line don't get a whole lot of praise anyway. Your only opportunity to really let your light shine, so to speak, on offensive line is really being a left tackle. But I think they should have handled it a little bit more delicately. I think they took a hard line approach to the entire team. You know what I'm saying? Get on the train and get run over. We saw that with Jalen Johnson where he wasn't really buying in early. They sent him to the bench. They did the same thing with Tevin. That could have went left, bro. That could have went real left, and it almost did. All the trade talks and all could have went real left. But I kudos to Tevin to playing along and sort of getting on the bus and really putting the film on tape and blasting guys from that right guard position. I think Tevin is a real candidate for the Pro Bowl, no cap. And to say we have a Pro Bowl candidate on this offensive line, as terrible as they've been in situational football, is to say a lot, right? Great point right there. Great analogy right there, R&R, right? The stick of the carrot, right? You know what I'm saying? He's absolutely a carrot guy. Absolute. And I said this early on in the season. I don't like how they handle him because I've been in those situations where there's always the one guy on your team, the one or two guys on your team that you can't treat the same as you do all the other players. And I gave y'all a great example of somebody I coached in high school. Deontay Johnson was one of those guys, man, Deontay Johnson was definitely a carrot guy. Definitely a carrot guy. Thank you for that analogy. Thank you for that take right there, R&R. Deontay Johnson was definitely a carrot guy. You got to sit the kid down, put the film on. You got to explain it to him in black and white, and you have to show him all the possibilities, show him all the opportunities, show him what it could be. And we had to do that with Deontay Johnson his senior year because he was a quarterback. He had been to all the camps that year prior to his senior year as a quarterback. And we have a freshman quarterback come in who was outstanding and took his job as a senior. This is supposed to be his time to shine. We had to put our arms around the kid and say, look, if you're better than that kid right there who can throw the ball 70 yards on a rope with no fall off, who can read coverages, who's come in and learn this whole offense, and there's no limitation of what we can do in this offense with this kid. He can throw it to all quadrants of the field. He's fast as you, if not faster. And he knows the offense. He's just a better overall quarterback. If you can say you're better than this kid with a straight face, we'll play you. We'll play you. Or we can move you to wide receiver, and you can use your world-class speed at wide receiver and in special teams to get you some looks at a position that you probably could play at the next level, and you could probably go on to have a good college career. That was a conversation with Deontay Johnson. The kid bought in, and I think he getting paid. I think he over at Pittsburgh getting paid. You know what I'm saying? Same thing with Tevin, man. You got to handle guys like that differently. You got to handle. I'll give you another example of a guy we just got. You got to handle differently. Chase Claypool. Chase Claypool is articulate. He's smart. You can tell he has a good personality. But I can tell from just having been there as a coach, you gotta handle Chase Claypool differently. You don't have to baby him, but you have to make sure you communicate with him clearly. You also have to always keep the carrot in front of him. You have to make sure he's aware, understands what the plan is. He's bought in. He's had an opportunity to be heard out. You explain the whys to him, and you say, "Hey, Chase, by the way, you're not going to be as much part of the game plan this week, and here's the why." Or, "Hey, Chase, we're going to use you as a decoy more this week. Here's why. Because we think they're going to roll coverage over to you, and it's going to leave Cole and Darnell Mooney on the backside, and we're going to use you." You got to explain to guys that why you're doing what you're doing as a coach, and not just saying, "Hey, get on the train or get run over. It's my way or the highway, blah, 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 blah." Right? Those are not those type dudes. And I think Velus is another guy. Velus is another guy. Now, I say they mishandled Velus in a different type of way. Coming off an injury, I just don't think Velus should have been stuck into the special teams and given, that big a stage as a rookie coming off injury where your peers have gotten a 2 or 3 or 4 week head start on you, and you throw them out on the big stage, and particularly in the punt game, and you say, go out there and do something you haven't done exceptionally well in college. I think I saw a stat out there that said he did more returns, kick returns, than he did punt returns in college, right? I would have put him on kick return, but not so much punt return. And even in his offensive reps, I would have gave him jet sweeps and let him touch the ball and feel the ball and get his confidence up before we start going super crazy and trying to, make him, fully involved in his offense and have packages and all that other stuff. Just my opinion, but I think they could have handled that a little bit better too. So I'm rooting for the kid. I'm rooting for the kid to get back on there on special teams, not punts. No, keep Pettis back there on punts, on kick returns, and then have a small package for him on offense, jet sweep or fake jet sweeps or reverses or something like that, where you can take advantage of his speed behind the line of scrimmage. A reverse or jet sweep, 2-3 game package, and let him do what he can do and go off. Take advantage of that speed. Be smart with him, right? But let's go back to the comments, see what y'all talking about. I see a bunch of folks in there laughing about something, so maybe I said something crazy. Let me go up and work my way down this time. Of course, I'm always somebody saying hi to my wife. Appreciate that. Definitely, we can definitely upgrade at the mic. Doesn't mean say, oh man, listen. In this defense, I'm not saying this kid is bad. In this defense, Sanborn can play. I think he'll be able to ball and can become a mainstay in this defense in the future. And again, it's about growth and development and confidence and all that other stuff. I think he can play at that position in this particular scheme, in this particular system. But I mean, I'm not going to smoke crack on live and tell you he's better than Roquan. Oh no, that'd be a fool to say he's better than Roquan. Roquan should be out of there just guessing. Yeah. I agree with you. And I think, honestly, a lot of people don't pay attention to this, but I don't think Allen Williams again put Roquan. A lot of the twists and stunts we ran early in the season, we would get our linebackers caught in no man's land with our twists and stunts. In the beginning of the season with your defense, bro, you got to try and call and play as much base defense as possible. And you, again, just like offense, where you start ramping things up and adding sauce to your offensive, food that you're cooking, you start adding stuff as the season go. I think, especially in the Green Bay game early in the season, Allen just tried to do too much up front with twists and stunts, and he would get Roquan them caught in no man's land because they would be unprotected. So if I'm pulling, if you run a slant opposite of where the ball is going, right? If you run a slant opposite of where the ball is going, the defensive linemen serve as your blockers for your linebackers to keep blocks off of. So if you run a slant and Green Bay ran a pulling play where they got guards going opposite of the slant, when those pullers get out in front of your linebackers, what is a linebacker supposed to do? What is he supposed to do? You got a 300-pound something man running at you, and the defensive coordinator just sent the defensive lineman in the opposite direction. They're going to get killed. You have to start making business decisions, right? Nah, man. Y'all crazy. I need people to watch tape. I agree, Nomad. The vets would have slowed the process. You'd had guys coming in, don't want to buy in. Why are we doing this hits thing? Crying and whining. Coach, I need load management. I need this. Because I'm a vet. I need load management. No, we got to establish a culture. We have to establish a culture where the only thing is matter what the head coach is saying. The hits principle is real. The AKT, the lineman assignment, key and technique is real. Get with it or get out of here. That part of it I get. But then I still say there's a couple guys that you still want to manage differently. You don't want to manage your whole team on a carrot basis. I need to motivate you and incentivize you with this, that, and the other. I got to put my arms around the whole team. Nope. For the majority of the team, I'll say 45 of those guys of the 53 guys need to be managed. Like, get on the bus, get on the train, or get run over. There's about 5 or 6 guys that you put your arm around and say, do it a little bit differently. So that's that. Let me slide down some more. I'm trying to get y'all out of here. Darrington Evans doesn't suit up. It should give you an idea how they're going to use Velus. If Darrington Evans, yeah. It's funny, man. I'm gonna tell y'all something about this. I was having trouble thinking of his name. So his wife actually comes across my Twitter, TikTok timeline all the time, and I never, because he doesn't play a whole lot, I never remember this guy's name. But she has a great TikTok account out there. She's funny. She's very supportive of her husband. But because he never plays, I never remember his name. But, a little fun fact there. He was stretched for money, and his contract we'll talk about that on the next show. I want to talk about Monty's contracts. Now, I will say this, because the guy that's on Get Up, the guy that does kind of league news around, I forget his name, on First Take, he said that he thought that Saquon Barkley is a great candidate to sign with the Chicago Bears this offseason. And I almost lost my mind. And I actually put that down in as a poll on Bears Twitter to see how Bears felt about that. But y'all drop it in the comment section, right? This came from your boy on Get Up. I can't remember his name right now. I see his face. But he said the Bears are a likely landing spot for Saquon Barkley this offseason. Let me know what y'all think about that, and that's going to be interesting to see what the gang has to say about that. Bragsy, I got you, bro. I'm definitely going to get you on the show, bro. Whatever the motivations were, Tevin Jenkins, got to admit they came up with spades. Yeah. Now, yeah, I mean, here's the thing, though. I think it's going to take – let me put your comment up there, man. I'm going to put your comment up there, Nomad. I think it's going to take, though. I still feel like Tevin is playing well at the guard, but he's settled for it. His heart still not 1,000% there. And I think it's going to take – so do me a favor, by the way. Let's make this happen while we're at it. Pro Bowl voting is open now. By the way, I'm going to start a campaign to get Tevin Jenkins to the Pro Bowl, by the way, because I think it's going to take that for Tevin to totally buy in to being a right guard. And this is just is he out there mauling guys? Yes. Is he out there killing guys at the right guard? Yes. But I listen to the interviews, and I'm just telling you from experience of being in locker room, I just don't feel like Tevin is quite there yet in terms of totally buying in, right? So, but I think it's going to take him getting to the Pro Bowl and him seeing, okay, maybe the coach's perception, maybe the coach's read on me was right, and maybe I don't know everything, and maybe I can go out there and get everything that I wanted to get as a tackle. I can get it and still accomplish it as a guard, right? You still have your individual goals too. As a player, you have how you see yourself, how you envision yourself. I don't imagine they can go out there and go and sell Trent Williams on, or they could have sold Trent Williams on coming to the league. Hey, man, you know what I'm saying? You were pretty decent tackle in college, but we're going to make you a right guard. You know, I think Trent would have something to say about that himself too, right? So do me a favor. Go out there and vote your boy. Let's help this thing along, right? Let's help usher this Tevin buying completely in thing along. Run the likes up, man. Like, subscribe, hit share. Share the video if you are first time on the channels. Like it, man. Let's get this algorithm busting. Let's keep it going. We already been on for an hour and a half, man. Maybe we might have a marathon session today. I don't know. It's up to y'all. Also, Coach, I'm kind of questioning their talent evaluation because we let kickers like Bagley go to Detroit. But, man, you can't have a whole roster of kickers, bro. You only got 53 guys on the roster, man. And I'm going to be honest with you, Santos has been – Cairo been solid except for the last game. We haven't had any issues out of Cairo in the time since he's been here. So, I don't know. I think we got to come up with a better scenario, better example than Bagley, the kicker. I'm just saying. Arnar said there used to be a term, kisses, but snowflakes, I don't know. You have to DM me the meaning of that one, man. But it sounds funny, nonetheless. It sounds funny. Arnar, he says VJJ is all about kisses. What I did there. Oh, man, I don't know, man. I don't know where you're going with that, man. I just feel a little bit funny talking about kisses to another grown man on live. It's just, I don't know. It's just doing something to me. He said, I believe he had bad ball security issues in practice. Seems like that's the big deal with these coaches. Yeah. Like, here's the thing, though. I mean, you coach that along. You're okay. So for a team that whole emphasis in development of players, right, and putting so much emphasis on the coaching, I'm still looking at you like you crazy. Like, okay, now if he's doing it in practice, his practice habit. Now, I will say this about Velus. Based off his interview this week, the locker room interview that he gave, it sounded like the issue was with him was his practice habits and his ability to move on from play to play. Like he may have gotten a little bit discouraged on himself, start practicing bad, maybe saw the Chase Claypool signing and didn't see a place for him on a team. I don't know what it is, but it sounds like his issue is all about confidence and reassurance and coaching. Again, maybe one of those guys got a baby a little bit. I know it's professional football, but you'd be surprised. A lot of these guys got fragile egos, and you don't know, man. I just hope the kid gets it together mentally, and we see who he can be. Don't be another White. I can't remember his first name, who he had, where we just drafted a guy high. He turned out to be nothing. And also, I'm rooting for him to win because, you know what I'm saying, we have to be real and grade Ryan Poles on that pick if he turns out to be a bust. Because, again, you guys' whole claim to fame is your ability to identify Bears football players, Bears guys, Chicago guys with strong work ethic, that's teachable, that's coachable, and all that other stuff. And if this guy doesn't do that, he doesn't turn out to be that guy, then we got to get on y'all ass and say, you fail. You know what I'm saying? We got to say it. We got to say that you fail at being what you said you are. My son wants something. Yeah, so we gotta hold Posey accountable to that, because that pick was a pretty decent, moderately high pick, and if he doesn't develop, he's on you, man. Somebody said Pringle in the slot. I don't know what that was in response to. Oh, by the way, Byron Pringle returns kicks too. He did it at Kansas City. We could very well see him back there on tomorrow. So, you know, we got to see it. I agree with Nick right here. Says the reps the rookie gets. It's not just straight the reps, and I'm agreeing with you, Nick. It's just not straight the reps, but it's also the type of reps, right? Again, get the rookies the balls in position. And that's another criticism I say of this franchise. I think in some cases they threw rookies out in positions that they weren't necessarily ready for. And again, you got to keep that same energy, right? We got to say, okay, Kyler Gordon got beat early on in the season. We didn't bench him. We didn't give up on him, right? What is it that exactly that Velus is doing that the other rookies didn't struggle with early on? Keeping in mind he had a later start to his NFL career than some of the other rookies. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying be a little bit more. What's up, my guy, SunTrust 9? Good to see you, my guy. I want to give you some shine here on the show. Always great to see you. Wanted to see this comment right here. Barkley's a beast with a bad Carfax report. I like R&R. I like the analysis. I like the take. But somebody said in my Twitter comments, man, they said on my Twitter feed, that'd be hard to pass up. You know what I'm saying? You have to decide who you giving money to, Demo or Saquon Barkley. I'm just saying, I wouldn't want to be in Ryan Poles' shoes making that decision. That's all I was saying. Because if he doesn't pan out, Bears fans gonna go crazy, especially if you give a running back a whole bunch of money. I would go with the cheaper option. I'm just saying, if between me, I would go with the conservative approach. I know the guy that's going to come in, Demo, he's going to say the right things, do the right things. He's going to be a team guy. He's liked in the community, liked on the team, liked in the locker room. I'm just saying, if he has a lesser price tag, I would probably go towards Demo. But, man, that would be a whole different something, dynamic to add to your team. I'm just saying. All right, let's go. Let me see what anybody got to say. Comments sprucing through. All right, see, good. Listen, so man, I think this was a great show. We had a chance to talk about all kinds of topics. Right before we get into this last, man, I'm gonna talk about this and get out of here. What they expect at the game tomorrow, where I will be at. I expect a dub here in the ATL area. I expect the Bears to come out and show the passing prowess. I want to see this passing game go off tomorrow versus Atlanta. I want to see a combination of the running game and the passing game clicking on all cylinders. And, of course, this is the return home game for Justin Fields. So I'm expecting his teammates to put on for him, man, to show out for him. Justin Fields from up the road up here, about 45 minutes away at Kennesaw, where he played his high school ball out there in Kennesaw, man. I expect to be family and friends to be in the crowd, a lot of his high school teammates, a lot of people to show up for Justin, and a lot of local guys, a lot of people that have watched him grow up that are even Falcons fans to watch him. And I expect this to be a little chippy game because we're going to have a little extra motivation behind it. But I'm expecting the Bears to pull it out. I expect us to score in the 30s, 35, 21, somewhere around that. I want to see Allen Williams put a decent game plan on the field to stop Atlanta, to force them to make mistakes. I want to see 1 to 2 turnovers, perhaps a touchdown off turnovers, meaning a pick six or fumble recovery, scoop and score, something like that to happen tomorrow, and them to make it happen tomorrow here in Atlanta. Bear down. We at the game. If you're in the area, hit me up on Twitter so we can meet up at the game so I can get a chance to meet you, take a picture or something like that so we can connect, we can do our thing, and we can continue to keep this thing rolling. So definitely expecting dub tomorrow, 35-21 Bears. I'm going to call Justin's stats out. Justin goes for over 250, two TDs throwing, 2 TDs rushing, for over 250, 2 TDs rushing, 2 TDs throwing, and a dub. 35-21 Bears. Put your score predictions in the comments. Keep this thing going, and I'm going to see y'all next week. Thanks for joining the show. We out. Bear down.